All right, today we're diving into a wild, ancient Buddhist story about a major clash of faiths, a seriously defiant princess, and a miracle that gets summoned from thousands of miles away. Let's get right into it. So our story kicks off with probably one of the weirdest boasts you'll ever come across. This is from a guy named King Fenbaton, and he was so convinced of his own genius that he literally strapped iron plates around his stomach to keep all that wisdom from, spilling out. He's our antagonist. And yeah, as you can probably tell, humility is not his strong suit.
Now, just so you know, this incredible account isn't something someone just made up recently. It comes straight from the Sūtra of Samagata, a classical Buddhist text. So what we're about to unpack is a genuine ancient narrative about faith, defiance, and what turns out to be a truly epic conversion.
Okay, so let's really meet the king at the center of all this. Because his extreme arrogance and his very unusual kingdom are what get this entire story rolling. King Fenbitan's kingdom is, well, it's different. The main religion there revolves around worshipping thousands of naked ascetics called the Nirgranthas. And believe it or not, they were a real major philosophical rival to early Buddhists. And the king, as we know, thinks he's the smartest guy on the planet. So what's his big quest? To find a wife for his son from a family that's almost as wise as his own. Yeah, a pretty tall order considering his ego. So how does this search of his go? Well, it leads him to a place he never expected, a devout Buddhist family. And this is where we get to meet our incredible heroine. So the king sends out his messengers, and the sutra actually describes them as black and ugly as demons, so not exactly the most charming diplomats. Eventually, though, they hear about a young woman named Samagata. She's the daughter of a really well-known Buddhist elder, famous for his generosity, and she herself is known all over for her virtue and wisdom. You can imagine this is a horrifying choice for Samagata's father. I mean, on the one hand, he's being asked to send his daughter to this heretical kingdom ruled by a super arrogant king. But when he asks the Buddha for advice, the message he gets back is totally startling. Do not refuse. He's told that this is Samagata's destiny and that she's actually prophesied to go there and save 80,000 people from their false beliefs. So, trusting this incredible prophecy, Samagata agrees to the marriage. She travels to the strange new kingdom, and literally, the moment she arrives, her faith is put to a huge, very public test. The welcome party is, let's just say, unconventional. The king's holding this massive feast for all his revered spiritual masters, and the very first thing his new daughter-in-law, Princess Samagata, is told to do is go and pay her respects. And what does she walk in to see? Thousands of the king's gurus, the Nirgranthas, all sitting there in the palace, completely naked. For Samagata, who comes from a culture of Buddhist modesty, this sight is just utterly shocking and deeply offensive. Her reaction is immediate, and it is fierce. She covers her face, spits in their direction, and declares that these men are no different than animals, and she will absolutely not bow to them. The whole palace just erupts into chaos. I mean, this is an unimaginable insult to the king and his entire religion. The king is, of course, enraged. Not only have his beloved teachers been insulted, but his own judgment in picking her is now being challenged. So he confronts her himself, going on again about his ironclad belly of wisdom and how dare this young woman defy him. And this right here is the turning point. Samagata doesn't just defend her faith. She flips the script and goes on the offensive to show them what real power looks like. She tells the king that his naked gurus have no real power. Her teacher, she says, is the Buddha, and his power is limitless. He can command the cosmos, he knows everything, past, present, and future, and can do miracles like walk through fire without getting burned. Now the king, he's still skeptical, but you can tell he's intrigued by this. And that leads to the ultimate challenge. The king asks, "So, can this Buddha of yours be seen?" And Samagata, with total confidence, replies, "I can summon him." Now you have to remember, the Buddha is in his monastery, 8,000 li. That's about 2,500 miles away. The king agrees, and just like that, the stage is set. Samagata doesn't perform some crazy, complex magic spell. Her actions are so simple, and they're just filled with pure faith. She climbs a high tower, she faces toward her homeland, she burns some incense, and she just kneels down and prays.
She simply asks the Buddha to come and show his truth to the people of this misguided kingdom. And the answer to her prayer? Wow. The way the sutra describes what happens next, well, it's not subtle. It is a full-blown celestial spectacle. First, the sky just fills up with the Buddha's enlightened disciples. And they arrive in style, okay? They're riding on dragons, soaring on phoenixes, sitting on white tigers, all these powerful symbols of spiritual authority. The people of the kingdom can only stare up in a mixture of terror and absolute amazement. And then, the Buddha himself appears. His arrival comes with this brilliant divine light. Heavenly music fills the air, and the ground itself starts to shake with a powerful earthquake. This is not a quiet entrance. It is a massive cosmic event designed to completely shatter any and all doubt. And here's a really crucial detail. To make sure this isn't just a private show for the royals, the Buddha miraculously turns the palace walls into transparent crystal. That way, the thousands of people gathered outside can see everything that's happening inside. This is a miracle for the entire kingdom. So, after a divine intervention like that, what happens next? Let's get to the final act and see how this moment completely transforms King Fenbitan and his entire nation. Well, the king's head guru tries to save face by challenging the Buddha to a debate. It's over before it even begins. The Buddha asks him just one single devastating question about his spiritual practice. Why do you crawl? See, this exposes the fact that the guru's asceticism is really just him imitating a dog. He's instantly silenced, utterly defeated in front of the whole kingdom. The effect is instantaneous. It's overwhelming. After witnessing that miracle and hearing the Buddha's sermon, the whole kingdom converts. And these numbers are just staggering. The king and his 300 court members, 500 government officials, and over 76,000 ascetics and regular folks all abandon their old faith and embrace Buddhism. The prophecy was fulfilled. Ultimately, this story of Samagata is such a powerful narrative about conviction. It's about absolute certainty and a spectacular divine victory. And it leaves us with a pretty big question for our own time, right? In a world with so many competing truths and beliefs, how do we navigate those clashes of conviction when, divine intervention probably isn't on the agenda to settle the argument? It's definitely a question worth thinking about.